Hi guys, and welcome back to cfctvyt. My name's Michelle.
And my name is Nina, and welcome back to a brand new episode of Carefree Queens, guys. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do so. Like, subscribe, do all of that jazz. And let's get right into a very, very interesting video. This series just keeps taking turns that we don't even imagine in our wildest dreams. But here we are. We're going to be talking about Frankie Lampard taking over Chelsea till the end of the season. And Michelle, we haven't actually had a proper chat about this, so I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know. Tell me.
I love it. Honestly, I love it. I don't know why, but I was afraid that we wanted to sign him on a 5-year contract. But I actually like the circumstances. Like, I like that you just bring him in to the end of the season, and we know that he's blue through and through, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I think he's gonna bring a lot of passion back into the squad, which I personally feel like has been lacking. We remember him bringing in a lot of young players, especially a certain someone, which we're gonna touch upon throughout this episode as well. And we have a really young squad, so I actually think this could go places. I think you can go a long way with just passion, to be honest. Like the passion you have for a football club, I think you can go a very long way with that. Yeah, I don't mind it. To the end of the season, Jesus Christ, I love it. What about you?
No, I feel the exact same because it's until the end of the season. I'm absolutely fine and buzzing and 100% rooting for that because I understand the reasoning behind it, and it's purely because we need a morale boost, we need self-esteem, we need confidence in the dressing room, and who better than Frankie Lampard? Like you said, he's blue through and through. He already has come to the club. He doesn't need to prove he loves the club. He doesn't need to prove he wants to do well, as if it were any other manager. Obviously they've got all of that to start with, getting to know the fans, getting to know the players, getting to know the club and what it's about. Frankie Lampard has kind of cut to the chase. He's already been a coach at the club as well, so he's got that up his sleeve. And like you said, the youngsters, that is his expertise. He was working with the transfer ban, so he was spending a lot of time with the academy players and obviously the likes of Tammy and Mason and Tamori and etc. So in my head now I'm thinking, well, we've got a series of youngsters that we've brought in the transfer window. A lot of them haven't seen the light of day on the pitch. So in my head now, I'm sitting here thinking, is Frankie Lampard going to give a shot to the youngsters that have been crying out to play? I'm talking the likes of Datro Fofana, the likes of Noni Madueke, even Mikhailo Mudryk as well. And a certain someone else that you mentioned, but we'll get onto him a little later. So is he going to look to experiment and sort of do what Graham Potter perhaps wasn't confident doing? We've been crying, let's play a striker in some of those games where we can't finish any chances. Well, Datro Fofana is a striker, isn't he? He's a youngster. Why not? He might potentially throw him in there to see what happens. And I said this as well. I said, we don't really have much to play for the season, do we? Period. We're sitting 11th in the Premier League, so top 4 seems like a dream, an absolute dream. And with the fixtures that we have coming up, we need to be absolutely miraculous to get ourselves anywhere up and near that area. But we do have a quarter-final coming up very, very soon. So Frankie Lampard is going to be appearing in the Champions League again. As a manager, he kind of is, I like to see it as he's finishing what he started, essentially. He left the rest to Tuchel, but now he is here to play the quarterfinal. How do you feel about that? Frankie Lampard will be visiting the Bernabeu.
I love it because Ash just said he didn't get to take the squad to knockout phases, and now he's able to do that. Like, it's literally just, call me naive or whatever, which I haven't really been, have I? I've been very pessimistic, but now, I just, like, it's just touching all the right spots in my heart, like having Frankie back, like even just being able to sing, we've got Super Frankie Lampard, like it's just, it's touching and I get that you want to bring in a passionate manager. I get you want to bring in a world-class manager, which we absolutely should. But like you said, we need a moral booster, and literally just announcing him everyone's through the roof. Like everyone who's proper chills. I don't want to determine who is or who isn't, but you have to be happy to bring him back. Like he's Chelsea through and through, and he, like you said, the youngsters, and like I'm just really excited. So like simply, I'm just excited to chant his name throughout like. I even shared a meme with like us conceding 8 goals from like when we go to Bernabeu, but we'll be able to sing Super Frankie Lampard, so everything's gonna be alright. But it's literally that's me in a nutshell right now. Like you said, we can't really, like as long as we don't get relegated, I don't really have that much of expectations from us. Like it's just like that's where we are right now, and we might as well just find joy in this because there hasn't really been much to be joyful about. So sure, I love that he's able to play in the knockout phases now because he wasn't before, and I'm just in a pink cloud right now. I'll be honest with you. I love having him back.
No, I do too, and I think a lot of fans that aren't so happy or as happy as we are about this decision is more kind of based around concerns with the long-term future and whether if he does have a streak of really good performances and we get through the semis, etc., is that going to be a case of them thinking, oh, maybe we should keep Frankie Lampard, and then it kind of goes south from there. However, I don't think that is the case. I think talks are continuing with Enrique, with Nagelsmann, I think even with Poch and etc., other names. And we really are looking for that experienced manager that is going to take over this long-term project. So I say this to those who aren't that happy, fear not. I think it is better to do what the board has done now and bring Frankie till the end of the season than bringing in this world-class manager in the middle of April when we've got a tough packed schedule of fixtures, when we're sitting 11th, and the chances of things going wrong are very, very high up there. Like that, it's likely. And what the danger is of bringing in this experienced manager now, say we bring in Enrique and things not going so well just because of how things have started and just because of the squad now. Obviously, I understand that these managers can work miracles and that is why they are, they have the status that they do, yes. But let's say things go wrong. That will leave a very bitter taste in the mouths of all of us. We'll end the season feeling absolutely defeated from everywhere, and it will be much harder to trust this manager. It will be much harder to have faith that the next season will be better. So I say it's better bring him in when he has a transfer window, when he's got a pre-season, when he can settle with the squad over the summer, he can get to know the players, rather than throwing him straight into this messy deep end, because that's what it is right now. So I do think Frankie is the much better call here, and there is actually a lot of sense in it when you think about it, because the reasons are just to pick up the mood, the confidence. And I watched this conference yesterday, and my goodness, it was a happier conference than anything Graham Potter has ever said in a conference. Even when we won against Dortmund, and the spirit was happier than it has ever been this season, and he just kind of sat and smiled, whereas Frankie walked into that conference like he's home, because he is home. So for me personally, I love it. I feel some sort of comfort. I feel like I'm going to see a familiar face, and I feel like we're in good hands, and I'm not worried that he doesn't love the club and he doesn't have the best interest of the club at heart. You ain't got to worry about that.
Yeah, absolutely agree, because at first I actually misunderstood. I thought they would bring him in for the long-term project. And I actually got pissed. I was like, I'm not anti-Frank Lampard. Don't get me wrong. I love having him back. But like you said, I love having him back for a period of time, because we're desperate for quality, because we have such a high-quality squad that requires a high-quality manager. So at first I was actually like, hasn't he learned anything? Like, stop risking managers like this. Like, don't get me wrong, I love him, but I would rather do like the saver bet on a proper world-class manager rather than someone like Graham Potter and someone like Frankie Lampard. Like, I love having. So at first, I was actually a bit like, why? Why do you not want to bring in some of the guys that is top class, and you've been in contact with them, and you've given them a few proposals, and then you go with Frank Lampard? That was my mistake. I misunderstood it at the beginning, but absolutely, like you said, it makes a ton of sense. This, And especially for certain someone, we've literally been saying this, what, 3-4 times now. All of you can guess who we are on about. Let's have a full-on chat about Mason Mount. Like, we all saw what Frank did with him. We all saw how much he developed under him. Do you think it's going to be repeated? Because he's been a tough phase, and it's been a while since he's been playing consistently.
No, absolutely. And I immediately thought about Mason Mount. You know, as soon as Frankie was announced, my first initial thought was, right, Mason Mount, because his future and his uncertainty around his future at Chelsea is growing more and more by the day. You know, like you said, it's not been a weekly conversation. It's been going on for months, way ahead of the transfer window. You know, talking about his contract. Obviously, he's got his contract till 2024. However, there are interests coming in from Manchester United, interest coming in from Liverpool, and obviously we know that Liverpool are going to be on a hunt for midfielders, and Jurgen Klopp is quite keen on Mason Mount from what it seems. So we have that interest there from them, and Mason Mount doesn't look particularly... See, I don't want to say interested in staying. However, you know, a lot of people have said, Reece James, for example, he has expressed his absolute and you know, his best interest at staying at the club for as long as he can, etc. Obviously, Mason Mount has been at Chelsea since he was 6, so you know he's 24 now. In my head, he's still 20. I still see him as a 20-year-old, but no, he's 24. You know, he's not that youngster anymore, and he is potentially. I get from his side that he's probably looking to maybe switch it up in his career, maybe experience playing in another team, perhaps in a different league. I mean, you know, there were speculations about him going to Bayern Munich as well and reuniting with Thomas Tuchel, which could also be interesting there as well. And I understand that he might be looking to experience that, and obviously in an age where you're 24 and you have those qualities, because I think Mason Mount, regardless of what anyone says, is a top quality player. He is, you know, you can't really argue against that. Yes, he's fallen off massively in this season, but you know, he got player of the season back-to-back 2 seasons for a reason. He was our absolute star boy, and he was working miracles in our squads and in our team. So you know, it's easy to forget because of obviously what has been going on this year, and we haven't really seen him on the pitch, so we've kind of forgotten what he is capable of. However, Prime Mason Mount is capable of a lot of things, and I think if he obviously gets back into it and he is training right and he feels happy, he can reach that optimum level again. But it's not really up to us, because if he is maybe falling out of love with the idea of staying and prospering at Chelsea, and obviously there is the other side of it, you know, perhaps the club may be not really interested in meeting his needs anymore, and perhaps letting him go and maybe cashing in on 70 million, if that's what he is going to cost us, would be the better choice. So there's 2 sides to it. I personally do like Mason Mount, and I personally would like him to stay. I think he is Chelsea through and through as well. I know that he's not had the best of seasons, and his attitude is not there always as well. He is obviously requesting a lot of money, and our fans are arguing that if you're requesting that salary, you've got to be proving that you deserve to be getting paid that, and it's just not been the case. What's your opinion on Mason?
Like you said, he is Chelsea through and through, and he has been proving that so many times. It might be a small thing for some people, but personally, I find it way bigger than most people do. Him always applauding the fans, always, even though he didn't even appear on the pitch, he always applauds the fans. And I've said this before, that I don't want Chelsea to turn into a money machine. I know it low-key already is, and it low-key already has been, but I want players and I want managers within the squad that's actually really, really proud to be a part of Chelsea. That's why I was so happy to see Frank back, because you know he's Chelsea through and through. That's why so many people like Mason Mount, because he is talented, absolutely. But he's been with us since, like you said, he's 6. Like he grew up in Chelsea. Like he's Chelsea through and through. Reece, like that's why I like Trevor Chalobah as well. Like that's why I like Abraham. Like I really think it's important to focus on the academy as well, because they grew up in the club, and they are 100% Chelsea through and through. And I think it's important that you rely a bit on that as well, because passion is just so much more than that salary is.
I agree with you.
I could say the exact same thing as you did, but there's no point. I think it's genuinely really important to have players within the club like Mason Mount, because Chelsea went through, and I think that holds a lot more value than buying star boys from all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely, and especially because we kind of let go of that ideal of what Chelsea Football Club is all about, because this season has been the toughest. I will say the toughest, because I think it's probably the toughest that I've seen in my lifetime anyway. And I think that it's almost been kind of like hard to hold on to what Chelsea Football Club is all about, because you've seen your team suffer and hit lows that, haven't even been heard of, and with Graham Potter in charge, it's just been a whirlwind of horrible emotions and just feeling crappy every single game. And that is not a feeling we're used to having. So I think anything or anyone, and that's why I think Frankie Lampard coming in is so important right now, anyone that can remind this squad, this club, and just the fans what Chelsea Football Club is all about, to remind you and to show it, to teach them what it's all about, is absolutely needed and is a good call. So who better than Lampard, because he really does possess that. He has played for Chelsea for many years. He's been a record breaker of goals, and he has been absolutely phenomenal in a Chelsea shirt every single time. He's lifted the Champions League, so he knows what it's all about, and he knows how to, put a word in to teach these players and to essentially bring a team together, because we brought in such individual talent, everyone coming in with their own ego, with their own ambitions, but not been able to fit into a team. And obviously that has been because of the lack of managing qualities that there have been. Yes, that's fair enough. But in terms of reminding these players what it is to play for Chelsea Football Club, what standards we have here as a club, and what it is we play for, that is something that needs to be installed here and now. And I don't think Enrique right now coming in will remind them of that, because of course he's a world-class manager, but he doesn't know what it's like to play for Chelsea Football Club, etc. So that's where I think the advantage of Frankie being here is, because it's almost like we need that character now more than ever. Absolutely. And whether it be him or John Terry or Ashley Cole, whatever, these are people that know what it's like. So that's why I think it's important more than ever. And come on, we deserve to feel at least a little bit happy this season. Graham Potter has stripped any sort of hope and happiness we could have for our club this season, and I just think Lampard is here to just pick up the pieces a little bit, just to kind of heal us a little bit, regardless of what he does. There's not a lot of pressure on him, really, is there? There is just some certain expectations, and they're more to do with confidence, more to do with self-esteem, more to do with just boost of energy and just a boost of desire to play. Send them out to play those last games with everything they have to play for. I don't care. I've seen it all this season. Just bring me some urgency, or at least bring me some sort of, I don't know, just a little bit of happiness. Is it too much?
No, I absolutely get it, because we've been touching upon this before, that it's really if the guys turn up on the day. And I think, like you said, I think Frank will make sure they do that every single time. And if not, because let's be real, they're humans after all. You can't really, do perfection every single game. But I just want to see hunger. Like you said, we need someone to remind us, to remind them what it means to put on a Chelsea shirt. Because if you sign a contract with this club, I expect you to feel a lot of pride, to bring a bunch of respect and pride for the badge, for the club, onto the pitch. And I feel like that's something that's been lacking. Like, I don't want to sign players, I don't want to watch players play and then not have a care. That's not how it works. I expect you to be very grateful for the opportunity to be in such a massive club and take on pride like, I don't know how to phrase it properly, but you know what I'm trying to say. And that's why I think it's so important to have a manager who's blue, who's Chelsea through and through, and that's why I loved Thomas, because no, he didn't grow up in Chelsea, etc. But he understood it
He knew what it
immediately.
meant.
Exactly, immediately he was like, all right, this takes a lot of responsibility, pride. I have respect for the badge, I have respect for the club. You need someone to implant that idea in other players who didn't grow up here either, because that's what football is as well. It's players from all over the world. You can't breed an 11 squad from the age of 6. It's impossible, but you at least need to implant the same idea within every player, and that's why I like Mason Mount so much. How do you think? What do you think the outcome is going to be with him? Like, if you were to put your money on what Frank is going to do with him,
I think Frank is going to work all his magic and do whatever he can to potentially get him to stay and to kind of bring him out to the fans, maybe play him. Well, not maybe play him. I definitely think he's going to throw him in the squad as soon as possible. But just to kind of remind fans of what Mason Mount is about, that he is our star boy, and to just see if there is potentially a future there for him at Chelsea. And if it is the right call to go, then okay, that's fair enough. I'll respect that as well. But from a personal, perhaps selfish point of view, I would like Mason to stay. And you know what, we're having this conversation right now, and who are our best players at the moment? Because if you think about it, I'm just going to name a few. For example, Reece James and N'Golo Kante, for example, and Mason Mount, regardless whether he has not had a good season or not. They're Chelsea through and through, right? They've been at the club longer than a lot of the others have, and they are arguably our best players. And if you think about why, it's because they have developed. I mean, obviously, N'Golo Kante is world class. Reece James is world class, but Reece James as well, another example of growing up in Chelsea. Yeah. He knows what it is to play for the badge, and every time he comes out, he is hungry for it. And he does suffer when we lose a lot more significantly than maybe some of our newer recent arrivals have. And it's because he loves and he knows what it's like to play for the club, and he hates letting the fans down because he loves us as well. And you can kind of just see that. You can see the players that love and play for the badge, and you can see the ones that are not so much, and they're there for perhaps the money or whatever, or they're still settling in because, you know, you can't quite blame them. It's hard to fall in love, whether I don't know, because I haven't done so myself. But I imagine that if you arrive to a new club, it's not going to be the easiest thing in the world to settle in. You know, it's like starting new anywhere, really, fresh start. So they just need that kind of reminder why they're there, what it means to play for Chelsea Football Club, and to just bring up the standards again, because the standards have absolutely been demolished with the progression of the season. And I can't see us, drop lower anymore. So I think this is really, really good, guys. And I hope that if there are some of you sat here watching this video that have doubts about this, just look at it from this point of view. I really, really hope that this is the case, and that Lampard can do what we've literally been describing, because that is the only kind of, thing that I see bringing us up, at least until the end of the season, because quite frankly, there is not much left at all. So let's just throw ourselves all in and just see what happens. Hey, Michelle?
No, I 100% agree, and there's not much else for us to do, really. That's why you would put it in, because it's like, it's out of your hands. I mean, I wasn't, but I got your point of view. Like, you can't really do anything about it, so you might as well save yourself the headache.
Absolutely.
I think this is going to be less painful, because we've said it for 24 minutes now, because he's Chelsea through and through. That's just gonna mean a lot more.
Absolutely.
I'm really excited. I'm so excited for the match tomorrow. Gutted I can't be there to welcome him back. Imagine when he comes back home to the bridge.
Oh, that's gonna be something special. Something special, really.
I might actually get a bit emotional, and I'm not even gonna be in the stadium, but
I think
this is what it's all about. I think we said what we wanted it to say, so should we just wrap it up, and then
absolutely.
Thank you for watching us baffling on. Like Nina said in the beginning, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. like the video if you actually liked it. Comment if you have some criticism, or if you agree with us, or if you just want to share your opinion, feel free to it. Yeah, thank you for watching. Do you have anything?
No, you said it all. Thank you very much for watching, guys.